Blessings, 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 family. It is your girl Bree, and I am back with another video. This video is not something that I looked forward to creating. I've actually held on to it for about a year and a half. I can't really think of how long it's been, but it's been a while. It has been something that the Lord has been impressing on my heart because I really feel like an advocate for women who've been in domestic violence. But I just felt like I could do that and not have to share my story on such a broad scale. But I truly feel like this may help people, and I know that it's going to bring judgment, but we're not here for that. So another reason why I really did not want to record it was simply because of how it will make my family feel. Nobody has heard my story in its entirety. They've heard basically like the generalization, and they've heard the end, and you'll get why I say the end at the end of the video. But I did not want this video to bring about hatred towards anyone or even unforgiveness, you know. And when I say hatred from anyone, I more so mean my family, his family. I didn't want anybody like sad looking or placing hatred on anyone because of the simple fact of what we've been through. I have forgiven him. I am free from it. I am in a whole marriage to an amazing man. This is something that I'm truly free from now, so I think this is a good time to tell this story. And I hate to come back on such a negative note, but I pray that this brings positivity to the fact that you can get out of it. And even though I don't want anyone to get out of it the way that I got out of it, there are ways, and I just want women to know that they are not alone. I want women to know that you aren't the only one going through this. You have no need to be ashamed or embarrassed. We've all made mistakes. We've all put ourselves in, taken ourselves through hard times, and it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. So I met my ex in 2018, and everything seemed normal in the beginning. Conversations, learning about each other, everything seemed cool. But one thing that really stood out to me is the fact that he was hypersexual. I don't know any other way to put it, but he would always try to have intercourse with me, even if it was in public places. We used to go on walks around our neighborhood, and I remember one time we were just walking and talking, and he just, oh my gosh, should I even say this? He would try to, I don't want to go into detail, but basically he would try to have sex with me in a public place. I'm just like, what is this? What is this? Like, we're not doing this. And I did create that standard, and after that he never did it. And of course that was red flag number one, but I ignored it because he didn't do it anymore. I met him before my birthday. I can't really remember exactly when I met him, but we didn't become a thing until July or June, one of those. I can't really remember. It was either June or July. I remember it being summertime. That's when we really started dealing with each other, like not talking to anybody else, blase, blase, blase. Well, I wasn't talking to anybody else. And that's when things started getting weird. He started getting really territorial. I wouldn't even say territorial, but I would say like jealous, to say the least. And it was over nothing because I was being faithful. I wasn't dealing with anyone else. But he got really possessive. He didn't want me wearing certain things, taking pictures in a certain way. Like, I couldn't portray myself like something on the internet, which is fine. People have their preference, and of course some people, or some men or some women, don't want their partner to be portraying themselves in a certain way. I get it. I'm not mad at it, and I respected it, and I honored the things that he said. He would always want to know where I'm at, and I don't feel like it was a sense of him just trying to make sure I'm safe. He always wanted to know if I was cheating on him. He would always think that I was cheating on him, and he always thought that I was lying about where I was at, who I was with, things like that. And here I am thinking that I can convince him otherwise, that I can show him ways that I can prove myself that I wasn't cheating or being unfaithful. I got pregnant with my son in August. It was either June or July, so I can't remember, but either 1 month or 2 months into us being sexually active, I got pregnant, and it was very intentional on his end. And of course, I take full responsibility for my actions because you can't make a baby by yourself. It takes 2 people. But you know that there are certain ways to avoid it. And he said with his mouth that he would get me pregnant, that I was going to have his child. At this time, I'm living with my mom. He's living with his. 2 very unprepared parents, to say the least. We lived a couple buildings down from each other, and I wasn't bringing my daughter to his house at the time. I would put my child to sleep, and she slept the entire night, so it wasn't really a problem. And it wasn't like I was staying the night and stuff. Sometimes I did, but that was discussions that I made with my mother. It wasn't like I was just going over there and spending the night without her knowing, you know, just leaving my child on somebody. And of course, if she woke up or anything, my mom would call me. And my mom didn't like him, so of course she would do that. But when I got pregnant, you know how the first trimester is. You're always tired. You're always feeling drained. And I would tell him, okay, I'm going to come after I put my daughter to bed. And as I'm putting her to bed, because I laid with her as she went to sleep, I would fall asleep. Boy, I'm tired. I'm pregnant. My body is changing. I fell asleep. And I will always wake up and he would be like, oh, who you with? Oh, you's a liar. Just outrageous, outlandish assumptions. And that went on for months because it was a continuous cycle. I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm going to fall asleep. And on top of that, I was in school. So, yeah, I'm tired. First of all, I was working as well. I was working and I had a baby. 2 at the time. A toddler. Of course I'm going to fall asleep, but none of that was logic to him. None of that made sense. I was just with another man. And here I am thinking that I can convince him otherwise. Women or men, if it applies, you cannot convince or change someone's mind who is stuck in their ways. He was a narcissist, so he could do no wrong, and I was the bad guy in every single situation. When they show themselves, believe them before it gets bad, like my situation. In the same year that I got pregnant was the year that I found the Lord. It was when I really started to gain interest in him, and he really impressed himself on my heart, and I just wanted to know every single thing about him. And I was blessed enough to get invited to my now church. They don't play about the Holy Spirit. Like, everything is spirit-led. So some services went on for very, very, very long. And there's a reason why I'm saying that, because it plays into the story. So towards the end of my pregnancy, I was about 9 months still going to church like it was clockwork. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Friday was the night of deliverance and like praise and worship and stuff. And I didn't drive. I didn't have a vehicle, so people were picking me up. A lot of times it was my now co-pastor, and she was a heavy participant in what was going on. So ultimately it would be me waiting upon her so we can go home. And one night I went home really, really late. Oh, backtrack. I know how his mind is. So I take a video of myself, and I take a video of me sitting in the kids' room. It's kids playing around. I have Alani with me. She has the same exact outfit on that we came home in. Like, this is what's going on at this point. Just so I can prove to him that I'm not lying. Just so I can prove to him that I'm not cheating. And if you feel like you have to do this for a man, he is not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth the stress. It is not worth the overthinking. I promise you, it is not worth it. But nevertheless, we're in a new state of mind. When I got home, I showed him the video. And you know, on iPhones, it shows the date and the time. So it's whatever date it is, and it's like 1 in the morning. So I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, I'm in the clear. What else is there to like disprove? And I get home. I go to like, he's laying in the bed. So I go to like hug him. And you know, big spoon, little spoon, he was facing the wall. So I try to big spoon him. And he pushes, I don't really know how he did it. I can't recall how he did it. But he pushes me so hard that I fall to the ground. Not like, but like he pushes me off of him so hard that I fell to the ground. And I just left it at that. I knew he was mad, but I didn't think it was like a intentional, oh, I'm trying to hurt you. I didn't think anything like that in that moment. I just thought he was mad and he was trying to get me off of him. And he didn't realize that, you know, well, I'm pretty sure he knew that he pushed me off the bed. Now I know that he didn't care enough to see if I was okay. So I just went with my mom and I laid with her. Okay? Me and my baby and my mom. And I laid with her that night. And then the next morning comes and he's packing a bag. And he's getting ready to go. I'm like, where are you going? And he says that he's going to Virginia with his mom. That's where his family is from. I'm like, okay. I didn't think anything of it until I realized that my phone was gone. So I catch him in the hallway and I'm like, where's my phone? He said, I'm taking it with me. You don't need it. You don't need it. What do you mean? So he proceeds to try to take it with him and I'm trying to get it back from him. And he's like, tell me where you were last night and I'll give you the phone. I said, I showed you where I was last night. I said it over and over again and we're going back and forth. Oh, I didn't even bring up the fact that by this time, he's living with me. His mom kicked him out for whatever reason. That's not my story to tell. He's living with me. I'm 9 months pregnant. I'm like, cool. I won't be parenting alone. We're gonna be good until we get our own place because we planned on splitting in June. The lease ended in June, and we planned on splitting. My mom was going to North Carolina and stuff. My brothers got their own place, so we all planned on going our own ways anyway. So the baby was due in May. Move in June-ish, July. Okay, that's neither here nor there. He was living with me. And it's not like it was like a day trip or he just wanted to see if somebody was going to text me while he had the phone. He was going to be gone for 3 days. What am I supposed to do with no phone for 3 days? Like, sir. So, of course, I'm trying to get my phone back. And I'm like, you can go through the phone. Go through the messages. Go through whatever it is you need to go through. But you're not taking my phone. And I'm like, bro, I'm not saying his name, so I'm like, bro, I don't go anywhere but church. Like, that's all I do. I work, school, church, work, school, church. Like, and you live with me. Like, and I get it because of the simple, I get it to a certain extent because of the simple fact that, like, I'm out till 1 o'clock in the morning. I get it, but like, I'm proving myself. The conversation gets nowhere and I get frustrated. So by this time we're in the base of the stairwell. We're going up and down the stairwells, just arguing back and forth because I'm trying to get my phone and he's moving. And he kept asking me like, where was you at? And out of frustration, I said something which I wish I would have never said. But I was like, okay, I was out with another nigga. Okay? You happy? Can I get my phone back? And he slaps me across my face. After that, I really kind of like black out. I remember balling up into a corner and him like being over top of me, like saying stuff, but I don't remember what he was saying. And after he like backed up, I knew by this time his mom was outside waiting for him. So I run outside because his mom, she's really, really like nice. And she advocated for me since the beginning of my pregnancy that she was going to be there and she was going to be a grandmother and, you know, she's always been there. So I go out there and I tell her, you know, what happened, and she goes off on him. One thing I can say about his mom is she always said like, yes, that's my son, but I'm a woman first. And I'm very grateful that she wasn't one of those, I don't know the word for it, but basically she wasn't on her son's side. Wrong is wrong. Like, that's basically the type of time that she was on, and I'm very grateful for her because she advocated for me the entirety of our relationship. I can't really remember if he went to Virginia or not. I want to say that he didn't. Yeah, I don't think he did because I remember him being in my house and I wasn't saying anything to him. Yeah, and then one day he asked, I think it was like 2 days after the situation had happened, and he asked to talk to me. And we go sit in that same exact stairwell where he just smacked me at. Of course, pity party, he cries. He cries and he cries and he said he felt so sorry and that it was like an outer body experience, that when we were at the base of the stairwell, he was at the top. Like his spirit or whatever he wants to call it was at the top and he was just looking at himself do it. And he cries and he cries and he says he's so sorry. And I forgive him. Stupidly. Believe a man the first time he shows himself. Please. A little bit of time goes past and it doesn't feel the same anymore, because I could take the accusations because I know I'm not doing anything wrong. But you putting your hands on me, that kind of puts my mind in another perspective. I was definitely on edge. And he had a very big insecurity when it came to our intimate time, if you get what I'm saying. And he never felt like he pleased me. He would always ask me like, did you, the C word, you know, did you do that? And I would say yes, of course. Because even if you didn't, what's going to happen if I say no? And he never believed me, once again. And he would have this weird assumption that I was masturbating after we had, you know. It got to the point where, to prove myself, once again, I would sleep. Like, it's funny, I got a cover because I'm cold, but I would sleep like this. And you know, y'all know how uncomfortable this is. I would sleep with my arms outside of the cover just to appease him. And he really thought that I was doing it because I was so unsatisfied and I was just being dishonest. And I remember one day he asked the question. Of course, I tell him yes, I was satisfied. And he didn't believe me and he got mad and he slept on the other end of the bed. So I'm at the top of the bed, he's at the bottom. And he's still saying like little slick stuff to me, and I'm just talking. I'm saying slick stuff back. I can't really remember the conversation, but he gets mad, and he pretends like he's like fixing himself like in the bed, and he kicks me in the head twice. And I just sit there and I silently cry, and I cover my face, and I'm just sitting there like, Brenda, what are you allowing yourself to go through? I was always a girl like, oh, I got 7 brothers. And I'm never going to let anybody put their hands on me. But it's different when there's a stronghold on you or there's a soul tie in place. It's different because I didn't want to see him get hurt. And I know my brothers would hurt him. Yeah, this neither here nor there. But I was sitting there like, what am I allowing myself to go through? Just really talking to myself and talking to God. And there came a point in time where I expressed myself that I didn't want to be in this. I want to leave. I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore because of what you're doing to me. And I told him that I'm going to leave. And he was like, where are you going to go? And I said, I'm not telling you. And once I said that, we were sitting on the bed and he stares at me for a couple seconds, just staring at me. And he like chokes me to the point where this is the couch, my head is like, this is the bed, my head is like laying off of the bed, body still on the bed, and he's choking me. He's choking me to the point where I almost passed out. He was like, you're not going anywhere. You think you're gonna take my child away from me, and this, that, and the third. And he choked me to the point of me like passing out. Like I could literally feel myself about to just like go into the. And when he let me go, I started crying and I was like, almost passed out. You made me almost pass out. He's like, don't say that. No, I didn't. No, don't say that. He was like, oh my gosh, don't say that. Like he felt guilty. Like you just freaking choked me. You should feel guilty. And that's when it was something that he just did twice. To me seeing a pattern, and I began to get fearful for my life because you just choked me to the point where I almost went, I'm not gonna say die, I'm not gonna say he choked me to the point where I almost died, but it would have been lights out at least for a moment. And a little bit of time went past, and this is the point where my brothers left, my mom left, and we were getting to the stage where we were about to leave. And it was around the time of my goddaughter's birthday. So of course I'm going to the birthday party and I'm taking my babies and we're having a good old time. And I wasn't even there late. I was there till about 9-10 o'clock. And of course I did the same thing, taking the videos and the pictures, trying to prove myself and prove that I wasn't lying and stuff. And it meant nothing to him. I had a friend in high school who was a guy. and it was never anything like flirtatious. It was never anything like romantic going on. He was a really great guy. Like when I was pregnant, like he bought my baby gifts and stuff, and I got pregnant in high school with my daughter, and like nobody really got me anything for my baby outside of the people in my baby shower. It was nobody in the school, and he showed his support, and I really appreciated him. And I texted him and I was like, why don't you have a girlfriend? And I wasn't saying it like I want you. It was more so like out of curiosity, because he's a really good guy. Like he really is. So that plays into the story. So he thinks I'm cheating. At this point, I feel like he gets aroused by my fear. So this is the part where it gets a little explicit. He makes me get on the floor on my knees and give him fellatio. And as he has me doing that, he gets my phone and he's looking through the messages and stuff, and he sees the message to the guy. So he sees that and he was like, what's this? And I'm trying to explain it, and he's like shut up, I didn't tell you to stop and stuff. And he starts to like smack me like as I'm doing it, and even though he's smacking me so hard to the point where I'm like falling to the ground, he still tells me to get up and keep going. I'm not going to go into detail, but he was very rough, to say the least, and it put me in a lot of pain. After we finished or whatever, I try to go to the bathroom. And I'm not trying to leave or anything, because I know how crazy people can get, and I've known people to like die from stuff like this. So I'm not trying to leave or anything. I'm just trying to get through the night, y'all. And it's crazy because he waited till my family was fully gone for him to be this abusive. I go to the bathroom or whatever, and he comes in there and he's like, what are you doing in here? I'm like, I'm just using the bathroom, and I'm standing up at this point, and he pushes my head into like the wall. Like I'm in front of the toilet because I just finished using the bathroom, and he pushes my head to the wall. I hit my head on the wall, and then he's pushing me like this. So he pushed me into the wall, and then there's a hallway right by the bathroom. So he pushes me into the wall, pulls me back towards him, and throws me onto the floor. And at this point I'm like screaming and stuff, and he gets on top of me, and he balls his fist up, and he looks like he's about to punch me, and I scream and I ball my face up and I like crunch in, but he punches next to the floor. It says that he will break my effing face. And that was kind of like the very end of it for that night. And out of fear, but also out of strategy, I get back in bed with him and we go to sleep. This was the day before Father's Day is when he did this. And we wake up in the morning and I'm trying to act cool, like, hey, happy Father's Day. I write him a letter or whatever. I'm keeping it cool. Not write him a letter, I send him like a text. He has to go to work though, and he still went to work even though it was Father's Day or whatever. And I took that as my opportunity to leave. Once he left for work, I pack up everything that I can. No, once he left for work, I called my brothers, because at this point, even if you come back, I'm in the clear. And my brother, who actually was coming to get my mom, he was still in town. So I called my brother, and he has his brothers-in-law, and I've known them since I was a little girl, so they're basically my brothers too. So I have my biological brother, and then I have two of my brother-in-laws and my brother's wife. And they're all there like helping me pack up my stuff, and they take me to my brother's house, take me to my oldest brother's house. And of course they're telling him like what happened and stuff, and I'm telling them what happened, I'm talking about it and stuff. And I kind of felt like a sense of freedom. So I wrote my ex a letter, and I left it on the bed, and I left the door unlocked for him to get back in the house because I wanted him to see that I was gone. He eventually gets home and he gets the letter, and I blocked him. I blocked him from my phone, so he's calling me from like text now numbers, and he's texting me and stuff. and he's threatening to kill himself. So I unblock him and he FaceTime me, and he's like bawling in tears, like crying wolf. He does all of that, and I still stay at my brother's house, and I'm still going to church. I'm trying to like really just get myself on track because I fell off bad. We go to my brother's house, and then honestly, I don't really remember how I got. Oh, he told me he wanted to see the kids. I made the excuse that I wasn't going to leave them by themselves with you because of the simple fact that I didn't want you to try to take my child, anything like that. So I went to his house, and we're sitting there, and he's talking to me, and he's being all charming and crap, and I fall for the trap, and I stay there. And all my stuff is in there because I did plan on going back to my brother's house, but I stayed there for a while. And a lot of this stuff is a blur. I don't really remember why we were arguing. I do remember that I came from somewhere with his mom, and it was something that he didn't agree with, and we were kind of like, I guess, double teaming him on why he was wrong. His mom left, and we're in the house, and we're arguing. I remember some of this, and I can't really remember what we're arguing about. And then we like proceed into the room, and at this point all of us are on the bed. So me, my son, my daughter, and him. He's sitting like on the top of the bed, I'm sitting on the bottom. The kids are in between us, and we're arguing. And one thing that sits out to me that I hate so much is the fact that my 3-year-old daughter is trying to protect me. She's like, no, you leave my mommy alone. And she's like this. He's not doing anything to me, but we're arguing, and he's very aggressive. And she's like, you leave my mommy alone. I'm going to protect her. And she comes up to me and hugs me, and she's like, no, leave my mommy alone. And it's the fact that my daughter even feels like she has to do that at 3. The argument proceeds. I don't really know what we're arguing about, but I remember vividly. He said, I could kill you right now. And I'm looking at him, and this is where fear really like, and I at that point I just got silent. And I kind of like try to talk him down, basically telling him what he wants to hear. And he said he's going to go on a walk. He needs to calm himself down. He needs to go on a walk. Once again, opportunity. And I pack up a little bit. I don't pack up everything, but I pack up what I can, because once again, I plan on going back to my brother's house. It was already in like bags and stuff. I put everything, he lived on the bottom floor. I put everything on the top, basically like the entryway of his apartment. I put everything up there, and I call an Uber, and I sit outside and I wait. And as I'm waiting, he walks back up, and he's like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to your mom's house. And he's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Come downstairs. I said, I'm not coming back down there. And he grabs my son. Now, I know he's not going to hurt my son. That's his son. He grabs the car seat that he's in, and he goes back downstairs. And so I grab my daughter, and I like go across the street. I go across the street of so his building, and then it's like a parking lot, and then his building's on the other side. So I go across the street, and he comes over there. He's chasing me, like he's running full force. So I'm trying to run, and he tries to pick me up. So I'm fighting him off. I'm kicking him off. I fell to the ground, and he's still trying to grab me and pick me up. And he's trying to grab me. So he scratches my face. Now, even if you look at older videos, or like my beginning videos, I had a scratch right here on under my eye. That was because he grabbed my face. It was another scar, but it kind of healed fast. But I wasn't going back in that house. So he picks me up, and he takes me to the house, leaves my child, because I think he was more so focused on the fact that he needed to take me in there. He had rails like going down the steps, and I'm like, somebody help me, like please, somebody help me. He's trying to take me in the house. Please, somebody help me. And right where he was like pulling me at, this lady, which I things that I have anxiety about, like that the enemy will try to make me overthink, is like, what if he got me in that freaking house, bro? But a lady opens the door and she sees him trying to like yank my hands off the rails because I'm holding on for dear life, of course. And she's like, really? Like, you're really going to do this? And he sets me down. And by this time, the Uber is here. And so I guess he comes to his senses and he brings my son upstairs. And he puts him in the car, and he actually helps me put my bags in the car because he knows where I'm going and his mom didn't live too far. I grab my kids and I grab my stuff and I go to her house, and I go upstairs and she sees my face, and of course she goes off on him, and that's neither here nor there. It was more like shame, which is why I went to his mother's house rather than my brother's house. Like, I went back to go with my brother because it was shame. Like, why are you allowing yourself to go through this? I mean, I stayed with his mom for a while. We're good, we're cool. He comes over to see the baby, but I feel safe because his mom is always there and nothing really goes on. He sees the baby, and it was very seldom. It was like spurs, like I was a single mom. So after this, he never put his hands on me again, even after like everything projected with me going back with him, which we'll talk about in a second. But after that day, he never put his hands on me again. And I remember one day I had went to dance practice because at this point I was a praise dancer. So I asked him to stay and watch my son. I stayed longer than he liked. And we got in an argument about it. I didn't want, like when we were sitting on the couch, I didn't want to sit near him. And he's like, why are you acting like you so scared? You don't think your God is going to save you? I literally said this. I said, he keeps me and I trust in him, but he's not about to come down here and a big old hand just block you from me. Like, it's going to happen. So yes, I'm going to keep my distance. I don't know why I really brought that up, but it was just how he wasn't just physically abusive, but he was like emotionally and mentally abusive too. Because don't play with my God. Let's go back to the story. I'm still at his mom's house and I'm there for a couple months at this point. His birthday comes around and she wants to spend it with him. Cool, this is your house. I can't tell you what to do. I'm over the situation anyways. He can be around and I don't care. And we got drunk and one thing led to another. I got pregnant with my baby Zuri. I felt so much disappointment in myself. I'm not ashamed of my daughter. She's greatness. Like, I wouldn't have her any other way. It's just that I allowed myself to be stuck with something that contains him again, and I was so frustrated with myself. That's literally all that it was. And he did try to like appear sometimes here and there, and he would come to his mom's house and because he would want to see the kids. And of course I allowed it because I'm not going to keep anybody's kids from you. And there was a time when he said that he wanted us to come over to his house, and there was still some fear there. So if I did come around him, I was telling him what he wanted to hear, because it wasn't happening. And of course I should have never even put myself in that situation to begin with. And I remember I came back to his mom's house and he showed up there, and he basically was asking me like, why was I leading him on? And I remember we were arguing about it, and he was calling me like a bad mom, and I never do anything, and just trying to throw low blows which were inaccurate. I ended up going into the closet where I kept my stuff and my kids' stuff, and by this time I'm 9 months pregnant, and we're still arguing. I don't know why I went in the closet, but he kept me in there. He kept me in there. I'm 9 months pregnant. I can't breathe. I'm hyperventilating, and we're arguing back and forth, and all he wants to know is why I let him on. His sister did leave out so we could have a conversation. I don't know if I texted her or if she just had some intuition to come back upstairs, but she came back upstairs, and after he had me in the closet for like 10-15 minutes, I don't really know how long it was, she called the police on him. I honestly was scared to do it because of the simple fact that he was right there in my face, and I don't know what he would have done. So, but after he left, I immediately put a restraining order on him. My niece is in the background. I'm not about to keep waiting for her to stop. I put a restraining order on him, And we kind of cut ties at that point. Like, it was just, I started living with my brother. It was a different brother at this time, because I was really trying to get back on track because I lost my job and stuff, and I was just trying to find a job that would allow me to work and still be able to take care of my kids, because at the end of the day it was just me and them. So I started living with my brother. Zuri was about 3 months by this time when I first moved in, and I felt like such a burden there. My ex's sister and I, we got really, really close. Like, we were close, like stuck like glue. And we went to Puerto Rico together because our birthdays are very close. And then when we came back from Puerto Rico, she was living with my ex, and at the time, and so was his mom. We had the pandemic kind of like tore us up. And when we came back from the trip, I stayed with them stupidly. He was okay with it because the kids were there. I was trying to find work, and he was working too. So I finally get a job, and he comes to me and he's like, I'll stay with the kids and you can work because my job is stressing me out. I need you to take the load. I just want to work, and I don't have to pay for childcare. So boom. Now, I can say I had no plans on him coming with me to my apartment. No plans, because I didn't tell you to leave a job. I was not paying his bills. Even after I started working, I started saving up for my apartment. I'm not paying your bills. You're the one that decided to quit your job. You're the one that's on this lease, not me. But when I finally got approved for the apartment, he's like, I hope you don't think that I'm not moving in with you, basically, to say the least. And I knew he had a pew, so I let him move in with me. And it got to the point where it was just like so overwhelming. Like, it was so overwhelming, guys. Like, you could see it in my face, you could see it in my eyes. Like, I just looked drained, I looked tired all the time. It was something that I did not want to be in anymore, and I was crippled with fear for so long. I remember talking to the Lord like, God, I gotta get out of this. However you see best fit, I gotta get out of this. And I remember telling him like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you can stay here until you get your own place, but we are not doing this anymore. Like, it's not happening. It's no toxicity. It's no going back and forth anymore. It's no more degrading. It's no more accusing. It's no more lying. I'm not dealing with it. I don't want to get back together. And he always had this way of like just speaking to me, and I would just like fall back into the trap. But I was tired. And I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I stood my ground. And he was sitting in the door frame. You know how kitchens, it's like an opening, but it's not a door. He was sitting right there as I was washing dishes. And he's trying to like, he's like, you don't want to just work on us. You said that we would try to work it out and stuff. I looked at him, and I'm calling Bob just for this moment. I said, Bob, I'm not getting back with you. I don't want to do this anymore. We're not getting back together. And he looks at me for a couple seconds because I go back to washing dishes, but I see him. He stands up and he goes and grabs his book bag, and his book bag is where his gun is. And the first thing that I think is, oh my gosh, he's about to shoot me. So I'm like, no, like, please, no, please, please. And I hear a gunshot, and I don't, it's not me. So I look, because I'm like, please, no. And I look up, and he shot himself in the head. My kids were in their room, not even 5 feet from where he did it. And the very first thing I did, I went in my kids' room and I talked to my oldest, and I'm like, Alani, I'm going to lock this door. Do not unlock it until I come to the door. She's like, yes. So my baby is in there. She's walking and stuff by this time, but my baby's in there, my son is in there, and Alani is in there. And she's like, okay. So I run back out there, and then I immediately try to find my phone. I'm screaming. It's so crazy how the Lord allows us to be like calm in certain situations, because I went in there so calm and like collected to keep my kids calm. And then once I shut that door, I was screaming. screaming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why would you do this to yourself? And I try to find my phone. I'm calling 911. Lesson. So as you can see, this is the new scene. The ending of the recording got distorted. The audio started acting weird. And of course, I couldn't just leave it like that. But the ending part is kind of self-explanatory. I called 911. They came. They confiscated the gun. And I truly believe that the Lord utilized that entire situation to separate me from him, because he is still alive. Praise God. He is fully able. The only thing that he can't do is see like how he used to. So he's not able to like drive and stuff. But walking, talking. I truly thank God that he is still here, and I also thank God that he has allowed me to separate myself, because one thing that will happen over and over again is you getting hurt until you have had enough. And sometimes the Lord will allow something like that just for you to let go. And I just want to be here to say, don't let it get to that point. There comes a point of accountability within all of us, even within myself, where we know something is wrong. And the fear that we may have had in those relationships, we have to begin to utilize that fear in order for us to get out. Don't let it keep you in that same place, but begin to create strategies to where you can get away from your abuser. I dealt with him for 4 long years, 4 years of stress. I just wish I would have came to my senses sooner, and that it may not have turned into such traumatic events. But I am here to say that I am an advocate for domestic violence, and I would never turn away anyone that is seeking help. So every DM, every message, any form of contact, I will be here to support you. Prayerfully, we can work towards getting you out of the situation, and your kids, if you have any, safely. And this isn't a matter that I take lightly. I understand firsthandly how hard it could be to let go of a relationship, especially when fear is instilled, especially when there's kids involved and you don't know what the outcome could be with you or your children. So I know that fear. I know that pit. I really do. I want us to work towards getting out of it together. I want us to begin to see ourselves the way that the Lord sees us, and that we won't tolerate these things even from the beginning. Believe a person when they first do it, because they will continuously do it. It's not something that's going to stop. It's not something that's going to go away. It's not something that you can just transform. If that person is who he is, he will stay that way. Please, I beg of you, go if you can. If it's early, if it's the first time, go. If it's something that you're indebted in, and it has been going on for a while, begin to make strategies. He does not have to know. It can be locked up in your mind if he's really possessive and he's in your phone like my abuser was. Separate it. Separate it. If possible, create resources with outside people. Get protection. I know that sometimes involving police can be a dangerous situation. For one, if there's no proof and they let them free, God forbid anything worse happens. So just be strategic, and if you need someone to help you with a plan, I am here for you. I am here for you. Please try your best to get out of that situation. Toxicity is not normal. Abuse is not normal, especially if you have children. They should not be seeing these things. They should not think that this is just what love is supposed to look like. It's not what love is supposed to look like. And I'm saying all of this with love and full support. I am here for you. See my testimony as a lesson. And I'm here to tell you that there is freedom on the other side. And sometimes it may have to be you starting all over. And that's okay, because it's better than you being in that situation. So don't be afraid to start fresh. Don't be afraid to start new. Be courageous for yourself, and if you have children, for your children. Those things are far more important. I love you all with the love of Jesus Christ, and I will see you guys in my next video.